Hello and welcome back to the Absolute Football Podcast. You're here with Louis Perrin and Tom Davis. Back for a third episode, Tom. Did you think we'd get this far?
Well, technically four, isn't it, I suppose?
Oh yeah, technically fourth episode, yeah.
Technically four and a failed attempt yesterday as well, with me being a little bit under the weather. So it should really be on about 5 or 6 now if it wasn't for technical issues and me being a complete mess and being ill yesterday.
Well, we're getting there, and we've got there a day late. Hopefully, we'll still get the podcast up on time, and if you're listening, that means we have, which is good. So as always, we always look back on the week that's just gone by and talk about our sort of highlights and things that has made us excited as football fans. So, Tom, what was your highlight of the last week?
I'm going to be really boring.
Okay.
And because it's probably the only game of the weekend I've watched fully, sort of the full 90 minutes, I'm going to go with Everton again. I can't get over how good they look. I honestly
They
cannot.
had 11 men. They had 11 men, and they were against a promoted side who had 10 men.
Okay, have you seen the 2 goals? They conceded 2 goals, but you've seen the 2 goals they conceded?
Yeah.
Wonder strikes. Absolute wonder strikes. I just think they're going to cause real damage. And like last week I said how much I don't think Calvert-Lewin's going to do a job for them. But I watched an interview with him afterwards.
How you
basically,
feeling about that? Is that great analysis you're thinking you did? Or
well, it's the Ancelotti effect. Because I listened to an interview with him, and he was saying that the interview asked him, said, "What's different now that you're working with Carlo Ancelotti?" And he was saying that he's got me working on my one-touch finishing and getting me in the 6-yard box where I need to score goals. And all 3 of his goals were, one came off the back of his head, and the combined distance of the other 2 is about 3.5 yards. So it makes you think he's going to turn Calvert-Lewin into a great player, possibly, or an effective player, and that midfield is still it's perfectly balanced. So I think they're real contenders for top 4 now. I know it's only 2 games in. One was against a newly promoted team, but there's not a lot of weakness there. I think there's a real serious chance that they could do something this year. Whether it's top 4, but break the top 6 at least, I'd say.
Yeah, it goes back to that kind of thing where we were saying it might have been episode 1, or it may have been even in the episode that was never aired, but where we were talking about managers almost have this sort of aura around them that they're some special, amazing, talented people that see the game in a way the rest of us don't. I mean, to tell a striker to go closer to the goal is quite obvious, but it's obviously proved incredibly effective. And it's something that in general play, I'd imagine when you're a young striker trying to come through, you want to be everywhere on the pitch. Just trying to show that you'll cover every blade of grass and you'll basically prove yourself. So I think for Ancelotti to maybe calm him down and just say, basically go ahead, play your game and get closer to the goal and focus on what you need to do. You are my main striker. You don't need to run around everywhere on the pitch to prove that you should be playing. You should be playing. Now go and do what you need to do. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, because he's in a situation where he doesn't really have to drop deep to link the play at all because they've got James Rodriguez doing that now. He doesn't have to go out wide because he's got Rickarlison on one side and I can't even think who's playing on the other side at the moment. Who's their other one?
Which one, sorry?
Who else is playing up front for them? Who's their front 3?
They've got Richarlison, James. Who's playing right for them?
Yeah, I can't think.
Who is playing off the right for them? It's not Walcott, obviously not.
Absolutely not, no.
Moise Keane came on and played right mid.
I can't think.
Who the hell is right mid for Everton?
Or did they play somebody else in midfield, maybe? Like we're not thinking of? But like looking back, if they played, in my head, we're having a midfield 3 of Takore,
Allen and
James. So I'm just going to generally have to look back here. What was the lineups?
Who was their right mid? That's doing my head in.
By
the way, can I just say that...
Yeah, Andre Gomez played midfield.
Yeah, of course he did. He did. And James played off the right end, did he?
Well, I guess he floated role really and probably played Rickarlison almost to the front too.
Yeah. But I just say it's great, by the way, that last week I had my cat come and jump on my shoulder, and this week your dog has come.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where he's gone. He's just coming lying in the middle of the floor. It's really helpful. I thought I closed the door. He just slowly squeaked through. Luckily, he's a bit camera shy, so he's just lying on the floor now.
Nice.
Yeah, so Andre Gomez, sorry. But I think, again, so you look at that, you've got Allen, who is a brilliant player. Like we said last time about him, he played for Napoli, finished second in Serie A. James Rodriguez was the best player in a World Cup. Andre Gomez played for Barcelona. Like, that's a lot of high-quality players. in a team that Ancelotti's managing when he can tell you, look, I've managed. Like, think of a top class player he hasn't managed.
Lionel
It's
Messi.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous, though. Yeah, but if you look back through Ronaldo, Lampard, Drogba, the players he managed at Milan, Seydor, like it's
Ronaldinho, wasn't it? Was he still there when Ronaldinho was? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think he may just have gone. But
No, he was
Maldini,
still there because Beckham as well. Beckham came in, he managed Beckham.
Pirlo. Like, you look at the players he's
Pirlo.
managed, and who is somebody like Calvert-Lewin to go, I'm not really listening to him, I'm not sure I believe in what you're saying. When he's had 20 years, and hasn't he won the Champions League with the most teams? I think he's won it with 3 separate teams. That's just unbelievable. So I think with him being as good as he is, and that team, I think they're going to surprise some people this year. I think they really, really will. And there is a very good chance of them finishing top 6, I think, especially after another team I'm sure going to come up this week. Didn't exactly have the best start to the season. So, I'm going to stick with Everton again. And it won't be Everton every week because I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'll find a way of squeezing them into it maybe where we actually get a decent win. But that's
actually, I remember last time we were speaking and I said to you that my highlight of the week won't be Arsenal every week. It was for the first 2 weeks, but it won't be every week. So this week I've actually gone for Aubameyang. So just to keep it away from the Arsenal theme, obviously, I don't want to overdo it.
You're telling me that's the best thing you've seen this week?
What do you mean? Yes. What, him signing a new deal?
Boring.
Honestly, he has now cemented himself, for Arsenal fans, and I'm opening this up for you to disagree, he has now cemented himself to Arsenal fans as the first Emirates-era legend in the football club. We have not had another Emirates-era legend other than Aubameyang. And I'll tell you why. Because they've all left. Oh, yeah. Wait, I wouldn't say he's he's an incredible player, but I don't know if he's a legend for Arsenal. I think he's probably he's been top 3 best players we've had at Arsenal in the Emirates era. Top 5. I'd say top 3, but some would argue top 5. But yeah, I don't know. I think Aubameyang just takes it to that next level. He does have that aura around him where you just go, you're world class. You're world class, and every other team knows it. With Santi, it was almost like we all appreciated him so much at Arsenal. I don't know if other teams did. Aubameyang, everyone worldwide knows that he's world class. And the reason he's our first Emirates era legend is because the others have left.
Yeah,
he's the first one to sign a new deal.
In his prime.
Yeah, in his prime.
Possibly in his prime. But I think
it doesn't look like he's slowing down, does he?
Well, I think it's the same thing with Willian again, isn't it? What's he, 31? Aubameyang?
Yeah.
I think if somebody was going to... The money they'd have to pay for him, realistically, if he went to... Who else does he go to at the age of 30? So he's got 1 year left in his contract, yeah?
What do you mean? He turned down Barcelona.
Let's say... So when?
That's Fabrizio Romano verified. Turned down Barcelona to sign a new deal at Arsenal.
This summer, yeah?
Yes, this summer.
Yeah, okay. So, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So he's 31 at the moment. He signs for another... Who does he sign for? Who does he sign for? As an option of, like, who's he going to improve them as a big club? PSG?
Barcelona
makes sense. Yeah, but look what Barcelona are going through at the moment. I mean, they barely finished 7th. If it wasn't for Messi, they're a mid-table side now.
Yeah, but they're still Barcelona. As a player, imagine
they're not going to win anything.
That's your option.
He's looking at it. He's probably got more chance of winning something with Arsenal than he does Barcelona at the moment.
Bollocks. It's Barcelona. It's Barcelona. At the end of the day, you've got Lionel Messi in that team. You cannot say they do not have a chance of winning trophies. They've got Lionel Messi.
Take him out, and I don't think haven't got a lot.
But you haven't taken him out. He hasn't taken himself out. He hasn't left the team. You haven't taken him out. He is still a Barcelona player, and they have a chance to win trophies every time they step on the pitch.
If I was a player now, I wouldn't want to go to Barcelona. It'd be like getting on a sinking ship.
So you're sat there, right, let's take Barcelona out of it. Let's say you give the option then, forget the club. You're going to play with the best player who's ever played football.
Yeah, but that's not the context, is it? That's not the context. What would you rather do? Because that's the thing. So he's got a choice now, probably get paid more at Arsenal because he's effectively going to be club captain type and is now going to sign this new deal and he's going to be the star man, the man. Or does he go to Barcelona, who nobody knows what they're going to look like next season? Nobody has a clue. They've got an aging team that's been very well documented. They've just kicked Luis Suarez out. They've just got rid of Vidal. Who else knows is going to be out the door? They don't know who they're going to bring in. there's only, what's the 5th of October is the end of the transfer deadline? So that's, 2 weeks, and they haven't really signed anybody of note.
Pjanic.
Oh, great, yeah. What's he, 31 as well? They're signing all these
Good
players.
footballer, though.
Yeah, but it's somebody that another top team didn't want. So they don't look good. I think if it was different, if it was, say, Bayern Munich had come knocking, but they're not going to come knocking because then he's not going to get ahead of Lewandowski. So
Are you surprised Real Madrid didn't come knocking, considering Benzema is like 34 now?
Age, same thing. I don't think they've. I think he's not. He's too old to have that one more move. If he was 2 years younger, it's different. If he was 29 now, I don't think he'd have signed the contract because Real Madrid would have come knocking or somebody like that. There's not. I just think that couple of years does make a difference.
But I don't understand because 31 is like prime. I'm sorry, I swear there's a whole generation of people who played FIFA and Football Manager or whatever who think that players stop playing football or are no longer any good at playing football after they're 31 or after they're 30. They're in their prime, so he could still go for another 3 years and sign another deal. Like, athletes are improving year on year. The longevity is getting longer and longer of playing careers. Like, at the top level. He's not old. 31 is prime.
I think you're only getting 2 years or 3 years out of him, though. And I don't think people want to make that risk.
Yeah, but three again, it's like we do this all the time. I think it's because Frank Lampard's come in and you've changed your whole mentality about football because Chelsea are investing in youth. But it's this whole thing, like 3 years.
Chelsea wouldn't give John Terry anything longer than a 1 year contract over the age of 30. They wouldn't give Drogba. They wouldn't give Lampard. It's not a...
Well, maybe that's where the mindset's coming in. But it's like the 31, right? 3 years. So you're saying he's only going to get another 3 years. 3 years of banging 30 plus goals a season.
Has he scored 30 plus for you yet?
I don't know, has he? Yeah, I think he has. Yeah, last season he scored 30 plus goals. To be fair, though, we also have been in the Europa League since he's come in, and he's been rested every Europa League game. So I don't think he's actually played enough games.
Yeah, but if you're going to have 4 more years in banging,
but if he goes to Real Madrid, if he goes into Real Madrid and he's playing every single game and Champions League and cups and league.
Okay,
and
when was last time? When does Benzema score over 30 goals a season playing in that role?
Yeah, he doesn't because he's not as good a goal scorer as Aubameyang.
Well, it's not his role, is it? Real Madrid don't play football like that. Benzema scored 30 goals. I just got the stats up now. Benzema scored 30 goals in a season once since 2013. Shows what role they want a centre forward to play. I can't see where else he would have gone. Arguably, he's the best number 9. He's top 3 number 9s in the world, probably.
And he doesn't even play number 9 for Arsenal.
Yeah, he doesn't even play number 9 for you. So where do you? I struggle to see where else he would go.
Well, look, I've had enough of this Chelsea fan putting down Arsenal fans' best news in about 10 years, right? It's been the highlight of my week. It's been something that I wouldn't have expected to happen. I remember watching the FA Cup final with my dad, and my dad saying, "Do you think he'll go?" And I said, "Yeah, I think
it looked like he was going to go, didn't
it?" Because whenever they sort of give those interviews where it's like, "Oh, I love the club and everything, but no news yet," it's always like, "All right, okay, where are you off to?"
Yeah.
And because he's better than a lot of the players who have ended up leaving in the end anyway, right? But so looking at his stats, right, I just wanted to I've done some research on this just to sort of back up how good he is, okay, and why I'm so excited. For Arsenal, right, he has scored 72 goals in 112 games, right? Now, he is now world-class. We now call him a world-class striker, a world beater, everything like that, right? I want you to look at this, right? So this was his first 100 games in football, okay? In 100 games, he scored 16 goals.
Yeah.
100 professional games, he scored 16 goals. In 408 games since, he scored 252. That is just incredible. Like, so in his first 100 games, he had a game ratio, obviously, of 0.16, right? So you're saying it takes him about 10 games to score a goal. If you were looking at a youth player coming through now and they had those stats, you'd go, he's not going to make it. He's just not going to make it as a striker. Since then, 0.62 goals a game. Over 400 games. He's the first world-class player we've had at the Emirates.
Yeah.
In his prime.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's massive. It's a massive coup for Arsenal. I think it's huge. But my thing is if you're being completely critical, where else he would go? That's the thing. I think when he sat down and looked at it, because you think of it now, you've got players like Coutinho, who left when they could have been a club legend. Hazard could have left, did leave, could have been a club legend. The grass always seems greener, but historically, for the last few years, the people who've gone for that big money move generally haven't lived up to it for whatever reason. And we're probably going to talk about it later on today, but like Gareth Bale's another one. Like, although he was very, very successful there, imagine he'd stayed at Spurs for that time. Imagine he'd been part of the Spurs team with Poch. You're talking about a different thing completely. So maybe he's just decided that for the sake of me going and having 2 years at, say, I can't see where he would go. Well, Juve probably the one who seemed to be after a striker at the moment. Go to Juventus, probably win Serie A, but then you could have playing second fiddle to Ronaldo anyway. And then where do you go once they decide they've had enough of you and you only score 15 goals in one season because they're just going to be ruthless? Then where do you go? Then there's nobody to take you on. Whereas if he stays at Arsenal, he'll be a club legend. He can sign another 3-year deal in 3 years' time, and he's going to remain on 300 grand a week, 200 grand a week in 3 years' time. I think personally, for a long game type of look at it, I think that's what he's gone for, because he may believe in the Arteta project and all of that, but if he went to Juventus, he could possibly win a Champions League. I think he's resigned to the fact he's probably not going to do that now by side of the deal. So I can't see you winning the Champions League in the next 3 years.
No. Well, I mean, you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, strange things happened.
I mean, to be fair, I don't care the reasons he's staying. I did not expect him to stay. And this is the best news an Arsenal fan has had since Unai Emery got sacked. But actually, best news in a long, long time.
But you say, when Suarez went to Barcelona, he signed a 5-year deal 3 months before they signed him, or something stupid like that, just so they could sign him for 70 million. Hazard signed a new deal when the Real Madrid deal was kind of done. It was like, he's going to go to Real Madrid eventually. Then he signed a 5-year contract. 18 months later, went to Real Madrid for 100 mil, or 140 mil, than it's turned out it is now. Players do it a lot. But I think he's a little bit older now that it probably won't happen.
Yeah, no, I think
that's now he's Arsenal done.
Yeah.
He's done.
Well, Arsenal and then,
Whoever
China.
after that, yeah. yeah, exactly.
America,
but I can see him stay with them for a while now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's huge.
Okay,
it is huge news.
So that was, my star moment, my highlight of the week, if you like. But back to a sort of playing side then, outside of the sort of politics and the contractual situations. Well, not just the playing side, actually, but football as a whole. What stood out to you then as like a star moment this week, something that really caught your attention?
Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich on Friday night. That team is just.
Did you see the highlights?
Oh my God. It's just something else. It's just silly.
Sane and Gnabry is one of the most terrifying and electric strike forces I have seen I'm trying to think of something that even matches it.
It's
really
Robin and Ribery again, isn't it? It's Robin and Ribery, but better.
I think it's scarier. Yeah, I actually genuinely think it's scarier.
It's scary, the fact that he scored a hat-trick and Sane scored one, got 2 assists. He's not fully fit yet. And then Lewandowski's there, just scored 50-odd goals last season, and he's not even part of the headlines. And because he's going to do it again this year, let's be honest. It's just relentless. The machine just keeps on going. It's what we're saying about Liverpool. The thing that makes them so impressive, they're going to go again. And they've strengthened. So I can't see how anybody gets them away from where they are now. I mean, they're going to walk the German League again. But they were the best team in Europe, hands down, last year. And you're not going to say they won the Champions League comfortably, because I don't think anybody ever wins it comfortably, but
it was as comfortable as I've seen it
as
for a
it
long
can
time.
be. Yeah, and they've improved. They're now a better team.
Well, are they a better team? Because another big thing that happened this week was that possibly mine and yours second favourite player in the world left Bayern Munich and came to Liverpool.
There is that.
So how much of a gap is that? I watched the highlights of the first game where they won 8-0, and Kimmich played more central and he was phenomenal. And so maybe they're going to play a different sort of role for him, and it's not going to be as big a loss as everyone's expecting it to be. I thought Sane, considering that he is not fully fit, that bit where Kimmich picks up the ball and he just turns and sprints and he literally makes up about 15 yards on the defender in 2 seconds. maximum
What is
2 seconds.
Guardiola doing? Getting rid of him?
No, honestly, I don't. Well, I think he wasn't going to sign new deals, so it's kind of like the Eric Garcia thing currently as well,
Yeah,
where they're just going to cash in. So
Guardiola's ridiculous. He could win the Ballon d'Or. He's that good. He is that
I
good.
agree.
Sam is.
I agree.
So
yeah.
it's 60 mil for him. When you look at it on the face of it, and he's at what 23, 24. It's like, just behave, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So how much of a loss then do you think Thiago is to Bayern?
I don't think not as big as it would be for a lot of other teams because they've got so much firepower. Any team's going to miss him, but because of the way they play and it's all about the heavy press, I think it's a deal that works out brilliantly for everyone. I don't think anybody really loses in it. That because Bayern Munich, although any team's going to be weaker for not having him in there because of what he offers, they can probably get away with him not being there and still doing okay. If he wants another challenge, let him go and have another challenge. He's done everything he wanted here. He's won another Champions League now. Let him go and try it at another club. And
by the way, in case anyone is listening and thinking that Liverpool fans are thinking that we're being biased as Chelsea and Arsenal fans, and we're trying to downplay how good Thiago is.
Oh God, no!
Let's just set the record straight. We literally will text multiple times a week about Thiago and have done for about 3 years.
Yeah,
he is on my apart from Lionel Messi. He is my favourite player I've ever watched on the ball.
It's glorious. It's beautiful.
It's porn.
Yeah, it's football porn. It's football porn. And
literal football porn, yeah.
And the fact when he came on at half time against Chelsea and the stats of just that game where he's come on and it's the first he signed like 48 hours, 72 hours before the game. So he can't have trained with them because they've got to have travelled down to London as well. So they can't have trained. So he's come on at half time and made 72 passes in 45 minutes and just gone, right, I'm here now. Give me the ball. And everyone's just gone, yeah, right, fair enough. And he just played us all around the park. And he's just, he's an amazing player. But like I'm saying, I don't think, as much as I think that, and I think he's going to be a great addition for Liverpool, and I'm more confirmed that I think Liverpool are going to win the league now. That, yeah, I think Bayern Munich are the scariest thing in Europe, though, still. Even without him.
Yeah, I agree. Well, funny enough, my star of the week is actually kind of links into Bayern in the future, I think, anyway. But I'll tell you what it is first, and then I can see how much you... Actually, a lot of my bits today have kind of a little bit of a dig at Chelsea, so sorry if that rolls you off a bit.
That's fine.
But my highlight of the week is Lamptey from Brighton. Now, am I right in thinking you sold him for 3 million?
5, yeah. 3 to 5.
5 million, was it? He is... the most excited I've seen watching a fullback in a long, long time. And what I don't understand is that he came on and had his debut against against Arsenal for Chelsea. And he was impressive in that game. Because I remember looking at the lineup and thinking, when he came on and thinking, oh, this is good. We might have an opportunity here. And I was actually travelling that day and I couldn't watch the game, but I was just keeping updated on my phone. And all I could see was comment after comment of everyone saying, this kid is rock solid. This kid is incredible. Nothing is getting past him. So why didn't he make it at Chelsea?
Reece James.
I think he's going to be better than Reece James.
Well,
I think he might be already.
No. Reece James has got more potential because of the fact that Lamptey is maybe 4'10". He's tiny.
He's 5'5", yeah, fair.
He's a small man. I think the team at Chelsea have gone, right, we've got... Okay, if we're looking at it now, he's the thing that's made a lot of headlines this week. Arguably, right back's the strongest position in English football at the moment, when you look at it. And a lot of people are saying that Reece James he was the best young player that we had coming through last year. Out of everybody. Billy Gilmore got a lot of headlines because he had a couple of good games. But Reece James he's the one that all the Chelsea players, all the Chelsea staff coming out of the academy, it's Reece James is going to be the one who's going to really set the world alight.
Am I missing something then? Because I've watched at least 10 to 15 games of him, and I'm not saying I'm not impressed as he's rubbish and he can't play football. I'm not mesmerised.
No, he's
I watched 25 minutes of Lamptey, and I was mesmerised.
He's an incredible crosser of the ball. Reece James, incredible cross of the ball. Can play centre midfield. Saw the goal against Brighton. He's not the best defensively at the moment, but that's something you can learn, I think. Nobody really jabbers on about Trent Alexander-Arnold not being the best defender when he got ripped apart the other week by Leeds. And he's still 87 on FIFA. I think Reece James if it had been at left back, he'd have been in the team. I think any other position and being that good, but because he was right back, he was always going to be second choice. Always going to be second choice. And his contract was running out, so might as well get something for him now rather than letting it run out till the end. Because we offered him a new contract, he rejected it.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we offered him a new contract, and he said, I'm not going to get first. He realised he's not going to get first team football, so he's gone, right. I'll go and get it somewhere else. I'll do a Jadon Sancho. I'll do what all these other players have been doing.
This is what I think, and yeah, I can't wait for this to be clipped in 5 years' time when he's playing for Palace. But I genuinely think he'll play for Bayern Munich. I don't think I've seen a more Bayern Munich fullback in the first half an hour of a game than him. He is incredible defensively. He's rapid. His final ball is incredible. He's low centre of gravity. He's as close to what I've seen a right back as Alphonso Davies is left back.
No, he's not that good.
Oh, I disagree completely.
He's played 2 games. Don't get ahead of yourself now. He's only played 2 games.
I think he'll play for Bayern Munich. He could have been my star of the week last week. He's incredible. I genuinely think he's
he couldn't have
one
been
of the biggest talents.
He couldn't have been because he hadn't played for Brighton when we filmed last week. So
he had.
No, he hadn't. We played on the Monday night.
He had. He's been in Team of the Week.
He hadn't played. Because we filmed before the Chelsea game kicked off.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's not. He's a good player. I'm not going to say that he's not. I'm not going to for a second say he's not a good player. I think he's been, and he did look very, very good against us. Did look very good. But I think it's a stretch to say he's going to be that good after 11 professional games. According to his LinkedIn.
We'll clip it in 5 years and see.
Yeah, I can't see it. I think if I was Chelsea, I'd have done the same as what we've done. Tried to sign him to keep him there, but if he doesn't want to go, we're not going to give him over the odds like we did for Hudson-Odoi, when Reece James is basically as close to our starting right back now as can be, and I think is on the verge of being seriously good. I think he's already being thrown around in the conversation with the likes of Trent and Aaron Wan-Bissaka already. It's those 3. And I think he's slowly but surely creeping up on them. Not maybe Trent going forward because he's just so good going forward. So I think if he'd have stayed, he knows he's playing second fiddle. He knows he's going to be playing second fiddle. So he looks bloody good, but I think it probably was the right move for him to go. Anyway, but I think maybe one of those where you look back and 5 mil looks silly.
It's one of the, I see again. I haven't, apart from the goal at Brighton, I haven't seen it from Reece James yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those Reece James in a few years' time isn't quite making it, and then they look back and Lamptey's playing for Bayern and they go, "What a horrible decision that was." I might be wrong, but from what I've seen, I can't say that I agree yet. So you may have noticed that Tom sounds a bit negative towards everything, and that's not just because I'm trying to go against Chelsea, but it's also because he's got a bit of a cold this week. Poor Tom.
I have, yeah.
So you might be able to hear that in his voice. Don't worry, his audio hasn't gone funny. He's just got a blocked nose.
Can't breathe out my nose.
So speaking of stinky things, did you like that transition? That was good. What was your stinker of this week then? What was the thing that stood out as really negative?
There's got to be only one thing. Surely.
See, we were saying before this because we never tell each other what we have as the topics. So we were both saying, I wonder if we have the same here. So what have you gone for?
United.
Oh no, mine's different. Thank God for that.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It's just a shambles that is, isn't it? I think
well,
just
to be fair, mine
club.
kind of comes into come into mine at some point. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, so mine's just United in general. For a few different reasons. One being the fact they lost 3-1 to Palace. You should not be conceding 3 against Palace at all. That's just a given. And So that makes you think on the pitch things aren't going well. And then off the pitch, I can't really get what's going on.
Are you pointing the finger at Woodward?
Yeah, I can't see why they aren't signing players.
I can't believe how many players they've actually been reported as close to signing and then missed out on.
I was reading something about that, and apparently there's two sides to this argument. One argument is that they are linked with these players, and Woodward's failing them and not getting them over the line. The second argument is that because everyone knows United are United and the money that they have, a lot of agents are just coming out and going, "Oh, United are interested in my player," when there's actually no conversations been had. But if that's the case, then why aren't they signing the people they want to be signing? Because you can't tell me that Donny van der Beek was the only player they've been interested in this summer. Up until this point, there's no way.
No.
How they haven't got the Sancho deal over the line, how they haven't got Reguilon, I just who they needed. They need a new left back.
Well, they're close apparently to signing Alex Telles now, which is a great signing if it goes
reportedly. Again.
We'll be waiting for another 2 years. But
yeah, exactly. They took them 18 months to get Bruno Fernandes over the line. Everyone knew that deal was going to happen, and eventually it happened. But when was the last So as a Chelsea fan, I see Werner as the first player we've signed probably since Kante that was other teams really wanted him. Other top teams wanted him, and he chose us for whatever reason, money, whatever it is. I don't really care. Who was the last player outside of Pogba who was world class who went to United?
Well,
who was the best in their position?
United fans are going to say Bruno Fernandes, but I'm sorry, he was awful against Palace, and I thought he's been awful every time he's played a semi-decent team. As soon as if he's up against any lower table teams, then he bangs a penalty in and gets a couple of assists. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he's world class. I think Van der Beek has potential to be. Again, don't think he's there yet. Yeah, I agree with you. But is that because they're changing their philosophy? Are they trying to build world class rather than buy?
They need to build.
Actually, I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are, because thinking about it, they spent 80 million on Maguire, expecting world class. And I'm sorry, did you watch that performance?
I didn't know.
Jesus
against Palace.
Christ, yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, he's got the turning circle of a 12-wheel truck. It's not
well. Funny enough, my mate Scott, who's a United fan and a scout, actually, a football scout as well. He'd be good to get on the podcast at some point.
Definitely.
But he said he's incredibly quick. So that idea that he's not quick is not true. He said he's incredibly quick. He just has the turning circle of a truck.
Yeah.
And he just can't move anywhere.
Well,
he actually said the turning circle of Mertesacker, but I left that out.
But you can't. Yeah, to be fair, at the time, I think a lot of people would say, I think it's a bit harsh. It's power of hindsight, isn't it? That was a good sign-in at the time. It was exactly what they needed. City were after him for exactly the same reason that everybody was after him. That he'd had a good World Cup, arguably. Leicester were looking good. He was dominant in the air. He was taking the ball forward from defence. He looked pretty quick. He's just been found out, and now players are... Maybe it's a system. Maybe it's Ollie's fault. I don't know. Should he be the player who's then sitting back rather than going for the ball if he can't turn? So maybe it's Ollie's fault.
This is the thing. Should they play such a high defensive line?
If he can't turn around.
Can't turn around quickly and get... Because can you imagine Werner sticking himself on him?
Oof.
Can you imagine?
Horrendous.
Instantly, that is team's game plan. And that was what Palace did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Palace did. They got the ball to Zaha and said, run at Maguire.
Yeah, because he can't turn.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
So I think just there's a lot going wrong there, and I think if they don't sign, I don't think Alex Telles isn't going to be the answer. A decent left back isn't going to be a game changer. I don't think they need a lot more than that. Imagine Chelsea had just signed Chilwell this summer.
Okay, but let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. Their game changer they need is a new manager. He's been there for how long now?
2 years plus.
I think it's a bit longer, is it? 3 years.
He's been there a while.
He's been there long enough.
Yeah.
Long enough to have a plan B. And it's not like Pep's plan A. It's not Pep's plan A that is so successful and so draining to the opposition.
And he can't win the Champions League.
All right, fine. But you know what I mean? He has won the Champions League, with his style, and so has other managers with a similar sort of style. Yeah. It's not that style of football where it's like this is incredible tactically, amazing to watch, and wins 99% of football games. Right? It's not that. It's a
Yeah.
tactic that, quite frankly, I couldn't tell you what it is. I know it's counter-attacking against big teams. I don't know what it is against any other opposition. It's not overlapping. It's not underlapping. It's not, squeeze, tiki-taka. It's none of those things. It's just good players playing up against average teams the rest of the time. And against big teams, it's counter-attacking.
Yeah, and he does, but that's the thing. He does it very good against big teams, and that's what seems to pull him out of the shit. To be honest.
Yeah, because whenever he's got a bad run, and then you're looking at the fixtures and going, the next 5, he'll be out. He pulls something out of the bag the next 5.
Yeah,
and it keeps
every time. Every time.
Yeah.
Every single time. Yeah. Imagine 12 months ago, just pipe dream. If you're a United fan, 12 months ago, we've got to a position where it's Christmas last year now, say roughly, and Ollie gets the boot, and they'd signed Ancelotti. I mean, imagine. And also, you were saying James Rodriguez cost 12 million. This week it's come out he was a free.
Oh, was it?
He was a free. They've signed him for nothing.
No,
because
that's
the
not
club
true.
the club it is because there was a buyout clause, or there was a sell-on clause. Was it buyout clause, sell-on clause? I think it was sell-on clause for whoever. It was one of his younger teams had a sell-on clause as part of the Real Madrid deal, and they didn't get paid a penny. So he can't have gone for anything. If they didn't make any money, he can't have gone for anything.
Oh, that's mad.
So they got him for a free. So imagine James Rodriguez had turned up at Man City, and they'd have signed Allen and signed all these players that Ancelotti would have had the draw to sign.
United, you mean?
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, if Ancelotti's a United manager, if Ancelotti's the manager and they bring in the players they've brought in, and they could actually, like, that's the thing, the reason that Everton was such a highlight is they're dominating teams. Like, Spurs didn't get a kick. I know West Brom scored 2, but West Brom scored 2 screamers.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
One's a 35-yard free kick. I mean, you can't account for that.
No. But I have a feeling, right, that United fans, and actually I'd need to ask my mate, it'd be good to get him on, but I have a feeling they must feel like how Arsenal fans felt under Unai Emery, but their result and squad is better. So under Emery, the biggest frustration, me and you used to speak about it all the time, was that I couldn't tell you what my beloved, value-driven, class apart Arsenal, I couldn't tell you what their structure was, what their game plan was, what we were trying to do. And I could tell you that every single game under Wenger, whether we lost 8-0 or whether we won 6-0. I could tell you what we were trying to do every single game.
You could see it from a mile off, wasn't it?
Exactly. And that's part of why you fall in love with the football club. That is, I don't care what anyone says. The way you play is part of why you fall in love with a football club. And it changes over the years, which is sad because you can't go back and sort of, change your mind over who's playing the football the way you like it. It just gets put into your blood then, and you can't do anything about it. But it's part of the reason that I fell in love with the football club. I can't see how United fans don't feel like that under Ollie, because I don't know what their plan is. I can see why under Ollie they go, in the big games, they go, this is like watching a Fergie team, because that's exactly what Fergie used to do.
Yeah.
Outside of that, what is their plan? What are they trying to do?
I don't know, but you're saying about what's their plan against big and smaller teams. They were rampant towards the end of last season. Like they didn't have player, but you're saying about this, and they just looked good. They looked good. They looked good. It wasn't as if they were just right. Let's pass like slow play and let's give it to Bruno Fernandes and see what you can do. There was movement. The front three were interlinking. 1 minute Greenwood would just be on the other side. Martial was turning up on the left. They were moving around. They were looking good. And that midfield three, when it was McTominay, Pogba and Fernandes, looked like a good midfield three because of what each of them had something different. That you had Fernandes basically playing as a number 10, McTominay just being a battering ram and tackling, and Pogba sort of pulling the strings a bit. They looked good. And this is a problem. It's just not consistent enough. They should be beating Crystal Palace at home. And what he's probably come up against, if you're looking at it, is he's probably been outdone by Roy Hodgson, because Roy Hodgson's a better manager than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. For all his faults, and maybe didn't do the best job for England, maybe didn't do the best job for Liverpool, but he's a better manager than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And he's
tactically.
Yeah, tactically, and that's what he's done. He's been beaten by a tactically better manager. If they'd have signed somebody like Ancelotti, which I think is probably more of the problem, it's a managerial problem rather than more the signings, which is then, if you're going to get into all the politics of it, is why it is top-down issues with the club. And maybe after years of people having a go at them for getting annoyed at the Glazers, maybe that is the problem. It is.
Or is it then? Because you're saying that they looked really good towards the end of last season, and I agree they did, but my problem with that is that they looked really good against teams that were 13th downward. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did Palace finish last year, though?
Where was it? I don't know. Was it?
Well,
it was low,
kind of far off 13th, can it?
Yeah, I was going to say I think it was 15th or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's why. So what I'm saying is it actually then that nothing has changed and it was purely a fitness issue? Is everyone making a big deal out of nothing?
Because they're a game behind everybody else?
Yeah, well, I think they're 3 weeks behind preparation-wise than everyone else. And a game behind. 1 week game.
Yeah, one game week behind. Yeah,
one game week behind, yeah.
But then...
So is it that we'll be sitting here in a month going, United look back on form? I mean, we'll have to wait and see, don't we?
Yeah, City came back in, though, and they looked pretty good last night, so...
Yeah, see, this
they had a scare, though.
They had a scare, but I mean, that's not an easy place to go to, and Wolves have had, a full preparation. So City were very impressive. So that's the thing. Are the excuses just excuses? I don't know. I don't think he is the manager to go and take Man United back to where, as an Arsenal and Chelsea fan growing up, we will both admit where they belong. I don't think he's that manager.
Yeah, same as they should be a top 4 team. They should be.
Top 2 most of the time, let's be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the size of them. And it's with somebody like Poch just sitting there doing nothing. It just seems ridiculous.
Is he the manager? Because he hasn't won anything. Don't get me wrong, I love Poch. But I actually said this to my mate, and he said, I don't want Poch. He said he hasn't won anything. I want Allegri. I want a winner. But then I said to him, someone's got to become a winner at some point.
Yeah, but you've got to pick a way of... This is the thing. They need to... Because from top down, they need to pick a system. They need to pick a style of what they're going to be doing. And the idea was, right, we'll sign a winner, we'll sign Van Gaal. Didn't work. We'll sign a winner, that'll work. We'll sign Mourinho. Didn't work. Maybe try and build a philosophy, build something.
Thank you. Right, so this is my point. And me as an Arsenal fan, not saying that Arsenal have got it all right and we're now brilliant, because we're not. But we signed Arteta, who we knew his philosophy and we knew those values linked with Arsenal Football Club. He hadn't even head coached anywhere before.
Yeah.
But we were more focused on the values and what the club actually was and what it identified as. And then if we can win that way, or at least rebuild that side of it, and then you trust in their talent as a coach or as a manager or whatever, then the trophies will start coming. He has won trophies. I know you're going to say it was the FA Cup and the Community Shield, but he has won trophies within 6 months or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. I would go for Poch, because you get back in then, or not even get back in. I know Fergie did have a way of playing. You get in a style of play and a culture and a value and everything that is a football club at its very core. When you take that out, and that's why I can't ever like Mourinho or anything like that, because I don't think he has any of those things.
No, he takes soul out of a team, but he makes you win. Generally, is the theory. And if you look at the squad they've got at the moment, and it's a fairly young squad. If they do sign Sancho eventually, and you've got Henderson there for the future, you've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you've got Brandon Williams at left back. If they sign a decent centre half, which we've been saying for years, that midfield 3 is fine with Van der Beek, Pogba, and Fernandes. Mm-hmm. Mason Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford as a front 3. Wow. And if they're playing like Spurs were playing 3 years ago, look out. There's yet another team who are going to be pushing for the top 6, and before you know it, Chelsea are going to be finishing 8th.
So we got a bit off topic there, but yeah. So you're I like that, because we sort of ended up ranting for a bit. But your stinker of the week was Man United, and I fully agree. They should be beating Palace, and the whole thing around them. Well, actually, when I said mine sort of relates to United, is actually my stinker of the week is VAR. And I don't think that's the first time that's going to be my stinker of the week this season. Just a sort of pre-warning, if you like, I am actually a big fan of VAR in principle, and I think it is needed in football and sport in general, right? So it's not like I'm one of these people who just thinks it's ruining the game or anything like that. I kind of think that, and I'll explain why after these incidents, right? But I don't know if you've seen much of the football that happened over this weekend. But there was so much VAR controversy within it, starting with United and the Lindelof handball, right? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't
so
seen it.
we were talking about the new handball rule last week, weren't we? And we were saying
Leeds.
what actually is, for Leeds one, where it deflected off another body part and then it hit a hand, and is that now handball? So now the new rule is, which not in relation to that is still the rule. If it hits up a body part and hits your arm, then it's not handball, right? That's apparently what it is. But it's now that handball is the t-shirt.
Armpit now, yeah. It's the armpit.
The armpit, yeah. But I mean, how bloody subjective is that? The football is the size of someone's arm. But hang on, wait there. I've got a football here, right? It's the size of my arm. What am I like?
Yeah, but it's there. So if it contacts anything below there, if it hits your bicep, bear in mind they're all wearing t-shirts. If it hits your bicep, then that's handball. There's handball. Handball. But if it hits here, it doesn't help because you've got black background. But that's fine. If it bounces off here, that's fine. If it bounces here,
how are you meant to judge that? I'm sorry, we've just done it. This is VAR right now, and I'm stood here with holding a ball there. If a ball is moving and spinning and it hits,
it doesn't help because you're on a black jump on a black background. But I see where you're coming from.
It's too subjective. It's too, particularly, it will change. I guarantee you there'll be so many conversations this season about, was that handball? Was that the t-shirt? Was that the armpit? Was that the shoulder? Was that the forearm? Well, forearms, pretty obvious.
Yeah,
not
pretty honest. Did he catch it?
So the Lindelof one, the actual handball, I wasn't that bothered about because it literally struck his bear, right? He pretty much saved it, all right? So it was a handball. Now, what annoyed me about it is it was then given as a penalty. Fine, okay. Palace step up, they take the penalty. Jordan Ayew takes it. David De Gea makes a phenomenal cat-like save that I haven't seen De Gea make in a long time, right? It was, when he sort of does that penalty thing where he stands completely still and then in like a split second,
out of nowhere,
he is down to the bottom right and just claws it. Incredible, right? And he saves it. Now, he was about, and I'm not joking you, and I don't know if you've seen it, he was about, VAR went and had a look at it, he was about that far, right? Don't know if I can see that, far off his line. Right, his feet were that far off the line, and they ordered a retake.
Of course, because you have to be on the line.
He was literally that far. A goalkeeper.
Okay, so, but how many times have you goal line technology then? But it was that far from going in. It's like saying that you. No, it's not. It's like you saying you hit the post and saying it counts as a goal.
No, it's not.
If you had a goal, right? So Liverpool basically won the league because of that John Stones
smacking at Edison's face and then clearing.
Yeah, and it being missing by, they worked it out, it was like 5 millimeters, which I can't even do really. If you're that far off or that far off, you're off. If you're off, you're off.
Yeah, but it's saving a bit. It's not a goal. It's saving. It's like
it's stopping a goal, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're a goalkeeper. You're on the line, right? You take a step as you jump. You're in like motion. You're not going to
don't jump forwards then. It's a technique.
He didn't jump forwards and then do it. He
So did he start on the line?
Yeah, but he took then like a shimmy.
Don't shimmy then. It's a technique issue. You know the rules. Stay on your line.
Fine.
Who was it? There was one this week as well. I can't remember who it was. But because their technique is to bounce forward first, which is what you're told to do as a keeper to close off the angles. He starts a yard behind. I think it was Pickford.
Behind the line.
Pickford?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who it was now. But I saw it earlier this week, and they stood a yard behind the line because they know they need to jump forward so they could move. Start behind the line. You know the rules. And that rule's been in for the last 12 to 18 months. So sorry to hear.
Well, okay, fine. So let's say we're okay with that, which I'm not, right? But let's say we're okay with it, and that is the rules. Okay, fine. Right. So then
next time Arsenal have a goal that's disallowed for being on, like the goal line technology has gone. Yeah, but it was that far away from going in. We're going to say, come on, VAR's gone mad.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But okay, so they ordered the retake of the penalty. Okay, so Jordan Ayew has stepped up and taken it and missed. Okay.
Yeah.
They've ordered a retake because there was something wrong with what the keeper did. Fine. Okay, wrong with the rules. So you're ordering a retake. So it's a retake of the exact same situation, and they have allowed Wilfried Zaha to step up instead.
Yeah, I don't agree with
that. How can that be allowed? How is that even a rule that's allowed?
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was allowed.
Yeah, I don't think it is. But I don't think anyone's even questioned it, so it must be, unless everyone's just oblivious to it. I don't know. But how can you have Jordan Ayew step up, misses, so his confidence is like shot. He's then got to go again, which he's been given the opportunity, in my opinion, he shouldn't have had. But let's say by the rules, he should have had, right? to get over that mentally, go up against at Old Trafford. I know the fans aren't there, but you're at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
You've got David
still.
De Gea in goal. To try and get over that and then score is tough. To allow
hard,
you
yeah.
to change a player to someone who, I mean, it doesn't matter who it is, but in this case, it's someone who's got a point to prove at that club. He's
Yeah, of
playing
course
out of
it
his
does,
skin in that game anyway.
After what he did
I
to
just can't
David
understand
Moyes'
how
daughter.
you're allowed to do that.
Allegedly.
Did you see Evra?
Yeah.
Have you seen
yeah,
that?
I
Oh
did.
my God.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Allegedly.
So awkward. So awkward. Yeah. So I just think I don't understand how VAR can get involved over being that far off the line and not get involved. It must not be a rule. But if it's not, then I'm sorry. As a United fan, if I was a United fan, I'd be fuming that somebody else was allowed to take penalty. If it happened against Arsenal, I'd be really pissed off. So I think that's something that needs to be had a look at as well.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Say that again, sorry.
I agree with you. I think that's shocking. I'd be fuming as well. I would be absolutely fuming.
So now I'm going to go further with this, right? So Gabriel playing for Arsenal, the new centre back.
Yeah.
He was brilliant again, right? He was man of the match in the first week apparently against Fulham, and I watched him. He was really good, and he was brilliant again against West Ham. But he had two incidents with VAR. So one of them was the handball one, where they deemed that hitting him like there was not handball, and everyone was going literally. If Arsenal were wearing a shorter sleeve top, it would have been given as handball because it. So, and again, I'm there as an Arsenal fan, and I'd agree. If we weren't given that, I'd be pissed off. So there's just no consistency. That's what I just hate about it all. That's the main thing I hate about VAR is that you go from 1 week a player isn't having something given against him like a handball because it hit off of another body part. Then Leeds are going to Anfield and playing out of their skin and having one given against them in the 5th minute or whatever it was. Then you've got. Lindelof, fair enough, it hit him there, fine. But Gabriel's, it hit him like there, that's handball. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. And you've said that's the rule this season, so go ahead and enforce it. And then the second one, right? Bowen, Jared Bowen, quite a good player actually. I rate him quite highly. He had worked his socks off, managed to cause a bit of havoc, on the Arsenal defence. Not the hardest thing to do. Yeah. But Gabriel gets the wrong side of him then as Bowen is on the floor. Bowen gets up and scoops it through the two defenders and is clean through on goal. He's just about to shoot. And as he goes past Gabriel makes a really clumsy challenge and kicks him right in the calf. Bowen goes down a bit theatrically. It doesn't even go to VAR, I don't think. I think it might have gone to VAR for about 5 seconds, if that. They literally looked at it from 2 angles. And one of the angles, you can literally see Bowen going clean through and Gabriel's just kicked him. Kicked him in the calf really quite hard. Completely mistimed it. Really clumsy challenge. Definite penalty. And completely not even discussed or looked at or asked the referee to go and have a look at it. Nothing. And I'm there as an Arsenal fan. This is me as an Arsenal fan. I'd usually go, oh, well, I don't care. I was there watching it going, sorry, that's a penalty. How have we got away with that?
There needs to be what they have in all other sports that use a form of VAR, whether it's tennis, cricket, American football, where the manager should be able to watch the game on a screen as well and should be able to challenge calls. Because, like you said, that one is just ridiculous. Same as Christensen's one. He's getting... How that's ever a yellow card? What ref is thinking in his right mind that that's a yellow card? He's climbed on his back. What's wrong with you?
Ran and jumped and rugby tackled into the
Exactly.
floor,
Mane's getting to that ball clearly before Kepa, who's... We're not going to go on that. Should have been.
Are we not? I was going to say, where was your thinking?
We're not going there because it's too painful.
The great thing was, by the way, we make clips of this podcast and we upload them on YouTube. And in one of the clips that I posted that day, just before that game, so I'd already had it scheduled to post. We'd spoken about it a week before. We were talking about the greatest football match ever, where the goalie got knocked out, and I said that's probably as good as having Kepa in goal. And then literally about an hour later.
But this thing I don't is why not? Why didn't Kepa just stay on his line for that one for a start? And well, we're not going into it. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. But Mane's getting to that ball first, so that's how anyone thinks that's a yellow card and thinks, oh, that Kepa's there to cover it. You're an idiot. Luckily, that one actually did get, not lucky for Chelsea, but luckily for Liverpool. But like I said, it's consistency. It's just frustrating.
I think the challenges thing is a good idea. So let them go and make their decision, fine. And they've gone ahead and done it. But then if they can watch it at the same time and just, just before it carries on, then they've managed to see it from a slightly different angle, which you could clearly see. I think there was one angle they maybe didn't look at it from, which isn't good enough. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. But there was one angle they didn't look at it from, and that was the angle where literally you could just see Gabriel kicks him over, boots him over, like he's proper boots him over as he's about to go clean through. So I think you're right. Maybe it's the challenging thing. So we're writing all the wrongs in football here. We got 2 rules that we need passed. One, you can't change penalty kick takers after you've done a retake.
I don't agree with that.
That's got to go through.
So I do agree with that one.
And then managers have got to be able to have the ability to challenge, maybe 3, something like tennis where they can challenge 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
they can do 3 challenges a game or something like that. And then once they use them up, then it's up to VAR to just make the decision as they would normally anyway. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, stop the game. I think
we've righted all the wrongs. Good stuff.
So then, I guess the biggest story in British football this week is probably the return of Gareth Bale. It's got to be up there with one of the biggest stories. What do you think, as from an Arsenal fan's point of view? What's your opinion?
I'm worried. I wasn't worried after the first game against Everton. I thought, brilliant, here we go. Here's Mourinho's, he'll be 14th by December and he'll be out the door. And, Spurs are just, all the normal Arsenal fans thing. I won't get into it. But yeah, I was expecting it to kind of be that sort of direction. Bale, the signing itself has sort of given the whole club a lift. I think it's taken some of the pressure off of Mourinho in a weird way, because I think Mourinho is a world-class manager, right? And he's that household name. I think Harry Kane is a world-class striker, but I don't know if he's that household worldwide, as they were saying in the Amazon documentary when they have that chat to each other, where Mourinho says, you're not a superstar yet, and I can make you that. But I think Gareth Bale is a superstar. So I think if things are not going right, I don't think the burden will be solely on Mourinho. I've seen a lot of things this week saying that Bale will add more pressure to Mourinho. I think in a weird way, he'll almost take some of it off when he starts playing. Because I think the Tottenham fans won't be expecting Mourinho to do something brilliant. They'll be expecting Bale to do something brilliant. And then on top of that, to see the way that they performed against Southampton, I was actually going to ask you this, and I've got it written here when we decided that our topic of the week was going to be Bale. But do you now think they have the best attack in the league?
The best front 3, you mean?
Best front 3 in the league. I'll tell you what I did. Initially in my head, I went straight away, no. And then I thought about it and I went, would I have Bale for Salah? As in prime Bale, prime Salah.
It's not prime Bale though.
But you don't know it's not. None of us know if it is or if it isn't.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Is it prime Bale? If it is prime Bale, then yes. And if he does kick on and he does play well, and even if he scores 15 goals this year in all competitions and gets, say, 10 assists, which, when you think of a player that good, you think that's as a minimum. And that's across all competitions as well. But they haven't had that. And if they've got that, plus that's probably more than Firmino offered to Liverpool last year. And that's the front 3 I think is probably the best. But yeah, it could be. It could be the best front 3. It could be. And especially after seeing, 48 hours after Son and Kane did what they did against Southampton. Yeah, they could be the best. Get him fit. But he's injured for the first 3 weeks again.
This is the big thing for him, is the injuries, isn't it? Because for such an athlete, and he is in that, that bracket of elite athlete, as in, Cristiano Ronaldo level of athleticism, why does he get injured so often? It's a weird one.
Yeah, if part of it does make you think mentality to a point, is how many of them were. Well, I think when we said we talk about Bale, I saw this tweet, and so Bale's stats for Real Madrid. He scored more goals than Fat Ronaldo. He got more assists than Beckham.
Don't call him Fat Ronaldo. That just completely discredits everything he does in the game. He's not Fat Ronaldo. He's Brazilian Ronaldo. I hate it when people call him that.
I think it's funny. More games than Figo. He won more trophies than Zidane, more Champions Leagues than Raul, and won 4 Champions Leagues in his first 5 years at Real Madrid. That's unbelievable.
Joke,
and the fans hate him. And then because I think part of it is that he was always injured. He didn't live up and he wasn't as good as Ronaldo. But you can't score as many goals as Ronaldo does if Ronaldo's in your team, because there's a finite number of goals you're going to score. And if he's scoring all of them, there's only a certain number left for everybody else at that point. And I was looking back through it. He He won Player of the Tournament for the Club World Championship. Admittedly, the Club World Championship, but still, he's man of the match performance in the Champions League final. I still think the best goal in the Champions League final, hands down, that over a kick against Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll hate him. If he can come back and be half the player that scored that goal against Liverpool and scored that goal against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey and scored that hat-trick in Milan against Inter Milan, if he's half that player, then yeah, they probably do have the best front three in the league.
And I don't think he is half. I think he will be prime Bale. In my head, anyway. I think he'll be prime Bale. And I think having Kane and Son, I can't think of a better partnership.
He couldn't be happier, I don't think.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing that scares me, is that a happy Gareth Bale fighting to play in those games. Like you said, maybe he wasn't fighting because it was like, the motivation had maybe gone. Like you said, everyone's thinking about Ronaldo and all of that. If you're then the main man alongside Harry Kane, all of that, you will fight harder to play those games. And I find it all of a sudden, to me, I went from being not even in the conversation, Tottenham, as in not even the conversation for top 6. I wasn't bothered, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm now very concerned about Champions League football and everything like that for Arsenal.
I don't think they'll get that far, but there's a video that's been doing the rounds over the last couple of weeks of, it's got, who is it? Sergio Ramos, Modric, somebody else, and I think they're on a plane, and they're all talking about what they've done at the World Cup, and they're all talking in Spanish, and somebody says Gareth, and it says something in Spanish, and and it's something about the World Cup, and his response is, "Sorry, I don't have a clue what you're talking about." So they're all laughing and joking, and he stood there looking like a lemon, and he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." If I'm putting myself in that team scenario, where he probably just didn't get as involved as others may have done, maybe he got thrown under the bus a bit for that. But if he's now going to join this team, where there's another Welshman in the team as well, Ben Davies,
he's already pretty
living
much
in London,
a legend, pretty much.
Yeah, he's come. It's the whole coming home thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be scary. He could be good. He could be really, really good. It's just if they can keep him fit. And if it takes, and that's the other thing as well that makes it even scarier, is that's one more defender that's now not going to have to be on Harry Kane or not going to be on Son. So if you're playing against the back four and 3 of them are taken up with those 3, it's like they can't double mark all of them. So
no.
there's going to be, even for a Mourinho team, you think that's got goals written all over it.
So with Bale coming in then, what does this mean for Dele Alli?
So well, it looks like he's gone, doesn't it?
What's happened to him?
If they can get anybody to sign him, I said this when he first came through, is he was going to be the next Jack Wilshere, because that goal against Crystal Palace was just one of the best things I've ever seen. Where he chested it up, that was just unbelievable. But it was like when you watched him, he didn't. I don't know. He looked effective, but not that good. Do you know what I mean? Like it never looked like he was. He was always like right place, right time kind of thing because of where he was playing. And it never felt like he was going to be a Gerrard or a Lampard. It never felt like that. Although the stats kind of said he might be, I just never felt he was that good.
I disagree. I think his first 2 seasons, I think he had his head down and he was focused on making it. And then I feel like he made it. And since then, I happen to be from his sort of area. And my mate, who is the scout, still lives in Milton Keynes, where Dele Alli is from. And he knows people, and we know people who know him, which is like the worst claim to fame ever.
Of course.
But they have all said that he has just turned into a massive party animal. Like,
oh really?
4 a.m. before the day before games, and it basically just went from that I'm head down trying to become a world-class player to you're kind of on the cusp of it. Like, keep going, mate. You're really nearly there and you're impressing everyone here, like including us as Arsenal fans. We're all there like, why the hell didn't we sign Dele Alli? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Even though we'd never admit it. And then the last two years, probably the last 2 years, maybe even a little bit longer. It's just been like nothing has happened. And you're right, it's like the Jack Wilshere thing. And obviously Jack Wilshere's was injuries and everything like that. But I would say that the thing that made Dele Alli better was that Jack Wilshere was nicer to look at on the ball. the ones who look the best on the ball don't actually make it. It's the ones who get the numbers up. It's the one who are the most efficient, the ones who are most effective. Kind of like Havertz, although I don't want to get onto that conversation, but I have something to ask you about.
It's
that
too
as
early.
well.
It's too early. It's kind of what it's like Mason Mount, isn't it? Mason Mount looks fantastic, but doesn't really do much.
Exactly. And then all of the players, like Alex Iwobi, if I was to put a compilation together of Alex Iwobi on the ball in tight spaces, you'd be going, bloody hell, he's a good player.
Yeah.
Does he actually provide anything in the final third?
Yeah. It's goals and assists, isn't it? If you're in that position.
Exactly. So yeah, I hope that Dele Alli can go, and I mean, there's so many rumours about him signing for. He won't sign for Real Madrid apparently, but I never thought he would. Why would Real Madrid sign a player who hasn't?
No, for a fact, I've heard out why Zidane said he doesn't want to sign him.
No, why?
So apparently they played Real Madrid a few years ago, and Dele Alli scored 2 scrappy goals, and then a third one was put on the plate for him, and he didn't score it. And he came out in the press conference afterwards, and rather being like very humble about it, he went, "I can't believe he didn't score a hat trick." And Zidane was like, "Well, you didn't really play that well. I don't think you just scored 2 scrappy goals. So I don't think you really deserved a hat trick." And he was kind of coming in being like, "Look at me, I scored 2. I should have scored 3." Sort of giving it the big I am. And so Zidane's gone, "No, I don't fancy any of that."
I am wondering why Mourinho has given up on him though so quickly.
Because he was good. He had the Mourinho bounce, didn't he?
He did have the Mourinho bounce. He looked like one of those, Mourinho's sort of
perfect player.
He usually comes in. Mourinho usually goes into players and finds about 4 or 5 who are his players. And they stay in no matter what. And that's kind of what Dele Alli looked like.
It seems like Eric Dyer is, doesn't it?
Yeah, he'll fit him in anywhere. Centre mid, centre back, left back, goalkeeper.
But there was a big one from, sorry to cut you off, but from the All or Nothing documentary where it's after a game and Dele Alli's kicking off and Eric Dyer says, "Dele, all you do is just complain. Like, it's never your fault. It's always you just come in and complain about everybody playing terribly. Like, go on, give us an actual reason. Give us some feedback here of who you think did badly and where we could have improved." And he's like, "Oh, it's the same every game. We're always doing this, and it's like, yeah, well, give us some like pointers then. If you're so amazing, just like tell us what's wrong." So it seems like everything that's been portrayed in that documentary as well, which I know is a bit of a propaganda film to a point, he did seem to like throw his toys out the pram quite a bit. So maybe it is one of those that the sort of the fame and the adulation got to him, and he thought he was a bit better than he was, and has taken the foot off the gas, and like being called lazy in training, and
that's the thing in the Premier League, like you can't get to that level. Like De Bruyne's not at that level. De Bruyne doesn't take his foot off the gas. De Bruyne is, he trained
probably hardest trainer at Man City.
Hardest trainer at Man City, and you go, that's the level you have to be at. You can come in and sort of be in and out. I kind of feel a bit weirdly. I kind of feel like James Maddison is at a similar point. It could go either way now. You've come in, you've done well, you've had a good season in the Prem. You're now on the cusp of being signed a big contract. You're now on the cusp of being linked with the big teams. Yeah, where you go and actually have to do it week in, week out. What way are you going to go with it? We'll see.
Yeah, whereas I feel like Jack Grealish has kind of got that out of his system because he had that party boy reputation early on. He went down and played a season of the Championship, getting kicked to hell, got them promoted, and now has set himself up as club captain, club legend, signed that big deal. He seems like he's grown up.
Whereas you couldn't have hit that more spot on if you tried. Because Grealish now, Ali and Maddison still look like boys. Grealish looks like a man. He's a man
with
now.
Calves that size. Best calves in the Premier League.
Well, I don't know, Shaqiri might have something to say.
True. He doesn't really play, let's be careful.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think you've hit that nail on the head. I almost feel like, not that, and I don't think Dele Alli would go down to the Championship or anything like that, but he almost needed to be in that environment. If he'd have joined like a Bournemouth and had 2 incredible seasons and then gone down, like David Brooks has, which I do expect to come back up and be an incredible player in the Premier League.
Definitely, yeah.
So I feel like he could have done with that a little bit earlier. I feel like maybe Poch, maybe mollycoddled him a bit too much.
Yeah, because he had it too easy at MK Dons as well, because they played good football as well, didn't they?
Under Carl Robinson, for sure.
Yeah, they played good football. So he's always kind of been the guy, because he sort of broke into their team and it was everyone kind of knew the name pretty early on. He's never had that sort of grounding moment that Grealish had when he went down, and that he should have gone to Spurs for 30 million, and it was a done deal, and then for whatever reason somebody pulled out at the last minute. And there's 2 ways of doing that. There's the Sado Berahino route, and then there's the Jack Grealish route, which is get your head down and just prove people wrong and become a better player. And now, if anybody wants to sign him, they have to pay 60 to 80 million for him.
100%.
He's going,
yeah.
You thought I was worth 30, now let me show you what I'm worth. Which hopefully James Maddison doesn't do, but it does seem like Dele Alli's maybe the fame's got to him a bit.
Well, hopefully he can bring, because he is such, like you said, that goal against Crystal Palace, and not even just that, but his overall play. I used to watch him and
he's
watch
the bully
Tottenham
teams, isn't he?
and yeah, as an Arsenal fan, again, you hate saying it, and I can't stand that I have to say it, and you as a Chelsea fan as well. We watched it, and you'd go, oh, "God, he's good. God, he is bloody good. He's horrible."
But I still always felt that it was going to fall off. I don't know what it was.
Well, I mean, you're being proven right at the moment.
Yeah, it did seem as though it was going to fall off. And I don't know what it was, but when I'm a Spurs fan, and I've always said it, that he was never going to be what everybody was saying he was going to be. I think he got the Wayne Rooney, he got the Jack Wilshere, didn't he? It was, look at the stats, he's ahead of Gerrard, he's ahead of Lampard. He's this amazing player, he's scoring these incredible goals. And it's like, wow, pump the brakes a bit. Come on. He was never going to be that good, I don't think. And maybe he just believed his own smoke a bit too much.
Yeah, maybe. Right, so I believe you have a story for us.
I do, and it's my favourite football story. And people may have heard of it before. But it's from the early 90s, so 1996. And in 1996, Graham Souness, the then Galatasaray manager, has got Galatasaray to the Turkish version FA Cup, so the Turkish Cup final. And they're playing Fenerbahce in Fenerbahce Stadium. And at the start of the season, because Graham Souness had heart surgery, the Fenerbahce director, or the main man at Fenerbahce, had said, I'm not worried about Galatasaray because they've signed a cripple. So Graham Souness has gone into the game against the biggest rivals possible. The game got to 90 minutes and it's 1-1. It goes to extra time. After extra time, it's 1-1. And because it's a two-legged affair, Galatasaray win 2-1 on aggregate. So Graham Souness has just won the Turkish Cup final, and he's celebrating in the corner with the away fans, a small group of them, and one of them shoves over a flag that might be 10 foot tall, a Galatasaray flag.
Right.
So Graham Souness picks this flag up whilst his team are going to collect the trophy, obviously because the players do it and the manager doesn't, runs to the centre circle and stabs the biggest Galatasaray flag he can possibly get in the middle of the Fenerbahce pitch and just stares out the director who calls him a cripple. And in his head, all he can think is, where is it here? To get the quote. So it's the vice president Fenerbahce called him a cripple. So he's just looked at him the whole time and gone, now who's a cripple? No, that's it. I'll show you who's a cripple. And it's just stabbed this massive Galatasaray flag in the middle of the Fenerbahce pitch and just ran off.
That's incredible.
He's gone back to the changing rooms and he's thinking into his head, I've screwed it all up here. I'm getting sacked straight away. Because what have I done? So he's sitting in the dressing room afterwards thinking, that's me, I'll be finished. I'll have a plane ticket given to me tomorrow and I'll be off. The entire Galatasaray board came into the dressing room 10 minutes later, tears in their eyes, saying it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to the football club. And Graham Souness is quoted as saying, I've never kissed so many mustached men in my entire life. and ever since, Graham Souness has gone down as a Galatasaray legend. And for a Champions League game in 2014, in tribute to Graham Souness and the success, I don't know if you could see it, but they've put this in the stands of just a vision of Graham Souness stabbing a flag in the middle of the pitch.
Incredible.
That's like 50 foot high.
So he's like proper
cult hero. Absolutely love him.
Well, to be fair, I mean, for those who don't sort of follow the Turkish football that much, the Galatasaray Fenerbahce rivalry is one of the fiercest in the world. Like, we're talking South American fierce.
Yeah. Hatred
will kill each other quite happily on a game day without police presence there.
And he's gone in there, the biggest Galatasaray fan, just beating them in their home club at the FA Cup final equivalent, stabbed it in and gone, now who's a cripple?
That's so good.
The
What a
minerals
story.
on Graham Souness. And you've got
What
to
a
be sitting here
story.
thinking, what's Pogba got to do? What's Pogba got to say about it?
What would Pogba do? Would
What
Pogba
would
do that
Pogba
at
have
the
done in that
Etihad?
situation? Yeah, would Pogba do it in the Etihad? No, he
Pogba would have gone
wouldn't.
into the middle and just done a dance, and then
Yeah. So
Brilliant,
yeah,
brilliant.
story of the week is Graham Souness being an absolute savage in
That's a
in
fantastic
Istanbul.
story. Fantastic story. Right, so actually, this week we've got a completely new segment, something that we've never had before, and it's because we didn't really have that many listeners before, and we still don't. But we actually have a listener question. So we did say this last week at the end of the episode. If you want to get in touch with us with any questions or anything like that, you can email us or get in contact with us on social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can leave a comment and we'll read through. And yeah, we're happy to talk about anything you ask us to talk about, basically, on the podcast. So a man named Lewis from Cardiff has got in touch, and he actually has a question for you, Tom.
God.
He has asked me to ask you this. Honest thoughts, how many Chelsea players would get into the Liverpool lineup?
Okay, we'll go. If we go through 1 to 11, effectively,
Okay.
then I'll go Kepa in goal. No, Kepa, Reece James, Zuma, Rudiger. No, I'll go. Yeah, it's got to be Alisson, isn't it? Arguably.
well, yes, of course it fucking does.
So, can we Mendy? We'll go Mendy, Cavier. No, so go Alisson centre half. Sorry, Alisson centre half. Alisson in goal. You can tell I know where this is going already, can't you?
Yeah.
So I go an Alisson in goal. It's got to be. I'll get too much stick if I don't put Trent right back.
I was going to say, don't even start.
I'll get too much stick for it. I'd go Van Dijk, Thiago Silva, Andy Robertson.
Hang on. Thiago Silva, who hasn't even played a game for Chelsea yet.
But I pick him over Joe Gomez.
And hang on, Aubameyang was past his prime at 31, and Thiago Silva is like 35, is he not?
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm comparing Aubameyang to Lewandowski. I'm comparing Thiago Silva to Joe Gomez here. I'd rather Thiago Silva than
All right, okay. This is your answer. You do
exactly. Both teams stereotypically play a 4-3-3, so we'll stick with that as a formation. And a midfield three. Oh, it's annoying because Thiago's just joined. Why didn't he ask this last week? You've got to go Kante, I think, still. I still think you've got to have Kante in there.
What has Kante done in the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, but he's been playing out of position.
Yeah, so
He's still first, yeah. And he's won more World Cups than the whole Liverpool squad, so...
So has Mustafi has won more World Cups than I think the entire Chelsea squad.
That was too long ago. So I'm going... my midfield three of what is available, honestly, if I was picking it, would be Thiago, Kante. And based on the way Liverpool play, and Liverpool don't really have a number 10 style player, do they? I don't think.
No.
So it's then who do you pick alongside those two? And I'm genuinely going to go for Mateo Kovacic.
It's your answer. Don't get me wrong. Kovacic is a phenomenal player to watch.
Yeah, he was He was our best player last year. He maybe didn't.
So
look
you're
like
saying
it,
out of a midfield three, right? A Liverpool. So let's say a midfield three, where Liverpool, who won the league last season, and were how many points ahead of you at the end of the season?
Yeah.
How many? 30?
30, yeah.
Yeah, right. They have a midfielder who won Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's a joke, though, isn't it?
I don't think so. Not at all. Completely
you thought De Bruyne was worse than Henderson last year?
Different positions, different players. I thought Henderson was
player of the season is all positions. So you generally think Henderson was a better player than De Bruyne last year.
I thought Henderson was as good a position as he plays in as De Bruyne was the position he plays in.
Yeah, but who was a better player last year?
For me, for my style, De Bruyne. But
Yeah,
who do I think deserve? I think I can't argue. I don't think it was far off. I don't think it was a million miles away. I think Henderson
I don't.
won stuff.
Yeah, but I think you could. This is the thing. Well, that's a different argument. I think if Henderson doesn't play, from what I heard, Andy Robertson came out with something this week that his stuff in the dressing room and the mentality and all that kind of stuff was what helped them in the league. But I don't think he's the best footballer in that team personally. But because I think I'm replacing Thiago with him probably, because I think if he's going to play quarterback and sort of spray the ball around, I've got Thiago as my passer, I've got Kante as my grit, and I've got Kovacic for transitions. And I don't think there's a better
I can understand.
I don't think there's a better transitioner of the play out of all the midfielders that are there. The only one I'd say who comes close for what I'm looking for that player to do would be Naby Keita, and I don't think he's as good as Kovacic. So that's why I've got each of those doing their various positions.
Mm-hmm.
And then a front three of Mane, Salah and Werner. I think Werner's a better player than Firmino. Well, he's not a better, sorry. I'd rather have Werner as my number 9. No, but I'd still rather Werner as my number 9 because have you seen him any goal? I know what Firmino does is different and he's that defensive number 9 or whatever they call him. And he's a wonderful footballer to watch. His touch, his skills are incredible, but I'd still pick Werner.
What's your thoughts on the German imports then?
Well, I'm going to firstly just cover off my 11 again.
Okay, go on,
just for Lewis's benefit. So we've got Alisson, Trent, Virgil van Dijk, Thiago Silva, Robertson, Thiago, Kante, Kovacic, Salah, Mane and Werner. So
okay, my argument
I've got 4 Chelsea players out of 11.
My argument would be none. None at all. None at all. Liverpool are a far superior team to Chelsea. And to say that 30%, just over 30% of their lineup could be switched with a Chelsea player. I just don't see it at all.
I think it's the Tony Pulis thing. They're crap players in an incredible system.
They're great players in a great system.
Yeah, but I think Kovacic would look as good as Wijnaldum. I think Kante would look as good as Fabinho in the system. And let's be honest, I think their weakest position is probably a second centre half. So I think I'd go Thiago Silva. I think he's probably our best centre back now. I'll go see how good he is, but looking at what he's done in his career, and I just think Werner's going to score more goals than Firmino is.
Right, Lewis, if you're listening, can you, and I know you will listen, hopefully, can you let us know your counter to that? Because I'm going to go with none. I think that's a ridiculous answer. I don't even know how you can say that any of the Chelsea players would fit into that Liverpool team. So obviously, as a Chelsea fan, Tom thinks 4 out of 11 would. All my cameras just ran out, but that's fine.
There we go.
I'll put the picture over it. It's fine. So yeah, let us know, Lewis, what your counter to that is, and yeah, good stuff.
So what are you saying then? German imports?
Sorry, German imports. Yeah. So annoyingly, you fell asleep during the game, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I went for a big Sunday lunch, and I wanted to go to the pub and watch it, but we came home to watch it, and I sat down, and then 4 o'clock sat down, and woke up at 8:30 in the evening. So didn't really catch much of the Liverpool Chelsea game.
Have you watched any of the highlights?
I've watched highlights. I've watched quite extended highlights back. Seen all the incidents. And I don't think Havertz should be starting.
That's a big change.
Yeah, I don't think he should be starting at the moment. I think it's except when I set up my ideal teams at the start of the season, it was assuming they'd all blend together and they'd all play. And that's going to take time. And bearing in mind that we're currently without. Okay, we play Kovacic, but we were without Pulisic, we're without Ziyech, we're without Chilwell, without Thiago Silva. We're a few players down. We're without whoever our goalkeeper's going to be. It looks like it's going to be Mendy now. I think he's just being thrown around a bit at the moment. Like he played right wing against Brighton, didn't look great. Played centre forward for parts of the Liverpool game. It's like it just doesn't make sense. He's going to be on his own up there. I think he's going to take a while to warm up to it. And apparently a lot of the German journalists are saying the same thing. He's going to take a while.
It does worry me that And again, like you said, there's so many players where I've watched the first 5 games and gone, he's a flop, and then they've gone on to have incredible careers.
Yeah.
But the basics seem to be lacking: the control, the touch, the pass. I think regardless of understanding your teammates, I think those basics are still there, or should
No,
still
actually,
be
I think I'm
there.
looking at the other way. I'm looking at the fact he's 20 and moved to a new country and probably barely speaks English.
Mm,
So I'm going on the it's nerves because like we've all done it where if you're confident and you're playing football and you just bang them in the top corner every time you go and every time you step up, I look amazing, but I don't have the mentality to do anything because I just crap myself. It's
yeah,
the
no,
nerves.
that is. I do get what you mean. Actually, to be fair, yeah. But I would have thought that
So
once you're a professional, it doesn't really matter.
do you remember what you were doing when you were 20 years old? I think I think that gets. I don't want to know what you're up to when you're 20 years old, but I think that gets forgotten a lot of the time.
I think I met
Um,
you when I was 20 years
yeah,
old.
well,
Pick
exactly.
gutter.
I know what you're like. But so as an example, there's something I wanted to bring up actually that it's kind of going the whole like get a bit emotional on it. But Jordan Ibe.
Mm,
So Jordan Ibe has come out obviously after he's just moved to Derby.
yeah, free transfer, isn't it?
Um, Yeah, so one day ago, he's on his Instagram. I saw it today on Facebook, but on Instagram, he's gone. This is what his quote was yesterday. I lost my passion for the game and love due to mistakes that were made, and also suffering from depression. My family have been strong for me, and I thank each and every one of my family. But most importantly, my motivation for climbing out of the darkness and into the light has been my daughter, who I love dearly and care for so much. And it makes you
Mm.
think that big money move and all the crap he gets. Imagine being 20 and you've now the club
And you
record
have to
fee.
deal with that, yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So I don't necessarily think he should be starting at the moment.
Do you think it should
We
be
don't know
like
his best position.
do you think it should be like a Klopp where he signs players for big
Yes,
money and then literally leaves them on the bench for 6 months?
6 months. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Like Fabinho. Fabinho didn't play for the first 6 months.
No,
Naby Keita
he was
played,
being linked with like a 10 million pound move to like Inter.
and now
And it
look at
was
him. He's
like,
class.
yeah, he is,
And
yeah. And he did
Naby
it with
Keita,
Naby Keita. He also did it at
12
Borussia
months.
with Gundogan. He
Yeah,
didn't
you've
play
got.
him
I
for about
think
6 months.
he needs to get used to the system. He's been in the country 5 days, and he's already starting games in an out of position against players he's never even trained with. Really, I think he needs to be bedded into a system. I think it would have worked different if we'd have had Pulisic and Ziyech fit. I don't think he would have started. So I think Werner looks dangerous, but
Yeah, he
Havertz
does.
I think Havertz needs a bit of time. But
Werner looks
Werner's
dangerous,
been
but he does look blunt. His finishing was poor, very poor.
he scored too many goals to have to be he had a couple of chances, but he
He
didn't
had
really have
clear
any chances
cut.
against Brighton.
Well, I didn't watch the Brighton game, but
Yeah,
he did have two
he only
clear
had
cut
one
against
shot.
Liverpool.
He had one shot against Brighton, really,
Oh,
of
did he?
one
Okay.
shot, and that was a good effort. But I think Werner's going to score goals. You can tell that straight away.
Yeah, I
He
agree.
gets into
I
too many
agree.
good positions. He just looks too good, and he looks confident as well. I think
Mm.
he believes he's worth the money that they paid for him. That he doesn't mind being the number 9, where Havertz does seem a little bit more in his shell.
Mm.
So I think, frankly, he's put his arm around him and just be sure to make sure he's all right.
Yeah, yeah. I think
And then I think he'll come out of his shell.
I think he's one of those ones where we spoke about it before, where I said the thing I don't get about Havertz is that when I watch him, I think you're not a footballer. You're not a footballer. You're not a footballer. Wow, what a goal!
Yeah,
So it's that he doesn't look like he's going to be a footballer. So it's hard sometimes to maybe give him that. For example, if you're watching Thiago and he has a bad game, which he did give away a penalty, but it was kind of touch and go as to whether that should have even been a penalty. To be
yeah,
honest, again going back to the whole VAR thing. But you watch Thiago, and even if he has a bad game, he looks good. He looks like
yeah.
a very good player, right? Havertz, I'm wondering whether he'll be given that luxury by fans who didn't follow him that much in the Bundesliga. Because if you followed him in the Bundesliga, you know he's effective. If you didn't follow him, you're watching him and you're going, you don't look that great, mate.
No, he looks like we've paid way too much for him at the moment.
Mm.
But then it goes back to kind of what we said about Mason Mount, players like that. Like he looks good, but what do he actually do? My worry is that it's something I said at our first episode is that he's a luxury purchase. We don't need him. We don't need him, and he was arguably generational talent. So why wouldn't you buy him if he's available? And you kind of figure it out afterwards because he can sort of play everywhere. So I think it's maybe once Pulisic and Ziyech are back, and we can actually play maybe a 4-2-3-1 rather than a 4-3-3, and or Havertz plays as more like the point of a three in midfield. Until we get to that stage, I think that's going to be his best position for us. Playing him out wide and playing him up top. I know he played up top for Leverkusen, but come on, it's be playing in the German league, so it's not as impressive. So I think they looked all right, but I think Havertz going to need a lot of time.
Yeah, I think he'll get there. I think he needs to understand. I almost think that's probably the reason that he's been brought is because he can play so many different positions. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I always think once you come to the world class level, you've got to find your position. There's so many players who are good footballers, and it almost ruins their career in a weird way. They get a lot of games, but they don't ever reach stardom because they've been allowed to be that utility player. So I think if he can find his best position in the Premier League, which I think he's got all the basic attributes, he's strong, he's tall, he's physical, he's athletic, he has got fantastic and efficient ability, as in he will score goals, he will produce assists. I think once he can find his deceptively quick, I think he will make it. I think he's just going to need. It's like I said to you about Saliba when we were doing our 11s that never got. I don't know. Did they get released? They did. Yeah. I said he won't be big for Arsenal this season, and all Arsenal fans were expecting him to start every single game so far. He hasn't started one. He's been in the under-23s the entire time. Not because he's not a good player. He is a good player, but he's 19, right? So give him time and let him bed in. So I think it'll be the same thing with Havertz. Yeah,
and I think the problem is at the moment. And to be honest, if I was Callum Hudson-Odoi, I'd be absolutely fuming at the lack of game time he's got at the start of the season, because this is the time he's going to get the most game time of the season. Is Pulisic and Ziyech injured?
Pulisic and Ziyech, right? Yeah.
So if they're just sort of chucking him in there to play when Callum Hudson-Odoi, that's his position. He plays on the wing just to play him. I'd be pretty frustrated.
I wonder what's going to happen with him now. To be fair, actually, I have heard, weirdly, now that you said that, I have heard a lot of reports of Arsenal and Chelsea, no names named, but Arsenal and Chelsea are in talks for a swap deal involving a Chelsea homegrown talent. I've heard a lot of noise. Yeah, well, this is what I was thinking. It's either Ross Barkley or could it then potentially be Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah, the problem is I can't see people paying his wages. And he's not.
I can see Arsenal paying his wage.
Yeah, but there's rumours. Apparently, there's rumours that Bayern Munich are still after him. So there's something that he's clearly not bringing to the Chelsea team, or whatever it is. Lampard doesn't like the look of him for some reason. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on there. Because
is it that
doesn't
he's
make
not
sense.
As efficient going forward? Is he like?
It just doesn't make sense.
As a Chelsea fan, though, when you watch him again, I watched him as a 17-year-old in a pre-season game against Arsenal, and it was the most impressed and I said it to you at the time. You remember I texted you and I said it's the most impressed I've been with a 17-year-old.
I think it was Community Shield, wasn't it?
No. It was in Dublin in the Aviva. It was like a pre-season.
Oh yeah.
But it was still Arsenal's like first team. And it was the most impressed I've been watching a 17-year-old since I saw Messi as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, it was like, wow, you're ridiculous.
It was like, oh my God, you're like incredible. No one got close to him. No one got even. No. And I know it's pre-season and fine, that's maybe what it was. But as a Chelsea fan then, what is it like watching him?
Yeah, before he had the injury, it was brilliant. He was playing in the Europa League, and it was like he's going to do the Harry Kane thing where he's scoring goals, getting assists in the Europa League, and then we'll give him the main game. But then he busted his leg open, so I don't know if he's still recovering from that because it is such a big injury. That maybe he's still not 100% confident. He still looks good. He still looks good on the ball. He just doesn't look as dangerous. He looks like he's cautious because he looks like he's too scared to make a mistake. He's going for the safe pass a lot of the time. When there was that bit I think it was 2 years ago now. Yeah, it would have been 2 years ago, where he was getting the ball. He was just ripping through teams. I know we played Forest in the FA Cup, and I think he scored 2. Or he scored and got an assist, and it was like, wow, God, you look good. You look really good.
He was so direct. That was what was so great.
Yeah, like kind of like Adama Traore.
Yeah.
Almost.
But I would say that he had
a bit more skill.
He had more natural end product. And
more better
has.
footballing ability. So I don't know what's going on with him. I really don't. And it'd be a shame if we let him go because we paid so much to keep him. And he put so much faith in. He is Chelsea through and through. So I don't know what it is. I know he had the whole thing in lockdown of having a girl around, and there was the domestic abuse accusations. Yeah. So
maybe that's still weighing on his mind. You never know.
Yeah. So it turns out that they were you don't know what's happened behind the scenes. Who's paid who off? Maybe. But that all got brushed away. But then that means he's still having girls over his house in lockdown when he shouldn't be, and so it's maybe he's too much on the party side. Is
he doing a Dele Alli? A little bit older,
exactly,
a little bit earlier, but when he hasn't quite made a name for himself yet. Well, maybe he has. Maybe because he put the potential in so much, and then the big contract came. Is he doing
£120 a week?
By the way, I love the way I'm calling it a Dele Alli. I have no confirmation that is what has happened to Dele Alli whatsoever, other than
and we have no confirmation that this is what's happening to Hudson-Odoi.
No, exactly.
We're just diligent professional. We just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. He could be trying his utmost, and he's just not making it. But who knows?
Yeah.
It does feel like something has changed, and I think that's why the Dele Alli thing is so believable as well, is because you can see from the outside that something has changed, and it seems the same. Hudson-Odoi as well.
What is it? So
exactly.
Yeah, and I think at the start of the season, the fact he's not getting much game time is strange.
Yeah.
But because Pulisic's back this weekend, apparently. Touch wood. So it's interesting. It is interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe give him a loan season somewhere. Just give him to get him in the Premier League. Maybe I don't know, play on the right wing at Palace.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to Palace.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it looks like they might be losing Zaha to Arsenal, actually. I heard that a lot of rumours this week.
Again.
Again. But it seems to be a lot more concrete this time, but we'll see. But if they do, I don't think that would be a bad move at all, that loan signing.
No, I think he needs that. He needs an arm around him, tell him he's good enough, and
exactly.
see from there.
Well, actually, speaking of Chelsea flops, nice little transition again. We're now going to move on to our segment that we started last week, which is underrated or overrated. So I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you what I've decided with this player, okay? I'm just going to tell you some stats, okay?
I'll tell you who it is first?
I will tell you, yes, I will, right, okay. Actually, no, I'll tell you what, I won't. I'm going to just tell you some stats, all right? So this player is 27 years old, okay? He has amassed 220 million in transfer fees.
Yeah.
He has 17 goals in 33 games for Spain.
Yeah,
and 74 goals in 222 games in club football. Who am I talking about?
Alvaro Morata, surely.
You are spot on, good sir.
Yes.
Absolutely spot on. I tell you what, that's another good segment, actually. You just say stats and then you have to guess who the player is.
Yeah, it's like we do with Wikipedia page, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, let's bring that in next time. We'll bring that in as another game. Okay, so what do you think my thoughts on him are? Overrated or underrated?
I don't think anybody thinks he's any good, but I don't understand how he keeps getting moves. I don't see where it's coming from, because he wasn't good for us. He didn't score that many for Juventus first time round, and we signed him for 60 odd million. Then Atletico Madrid bought him back for 60 odd million, and you're like, how? What? Why has that happened? Mm-hmm. And now Juventus are about to sign him for another 40 odd million.
Yep.
Apparently,
well, actually, 9 million plus 40 million at the end of the season. 9
million loan deal first, isn't it?
So 50 million.
So I don't really, because like you said, he hasn't really set the world on fire anywhere, but he's gone from Real Madrid to Juventus, back to Real Madrid to Chelsea, to Atletico Madrid, to Juventus. And it's like, if you were to just say that, you're like, whoa.
Exactly.
How have you done that?
In 220 million worth of transfer fees as well.
Yeah.
So, what do you think I'm coming down on the side of? Underrated or
you're
overrated?
You're going to say he's overrated, but I don't know anybody who thinks he's any good.
I actually don't know what my answer is. I was leaning towards underrated. I just think he's such a fascinating player. After I saw it in the news today, I was like, we've got to just talk about him, and he's got to be in this. I actually think he's underrated.
You didn't watch him much at Chelsea then, no?
I did, and I remember me and you texting each other to say he is the best number 9 in world football right now.
Embarrassingly so, we said that, yeah, I remember
You did. You texted me and I agreed with you.
We agreed, yeah. He looked great. He scored 6 games in a row at the start of the season or something.
Yeah, and he scored a hat trick against Stoke. So he did it on a cold, rainy day at Stoke,
Yeah.
including a great individual goal. He has got 1 goal in 2 games for Spain, and overall has 1 goal in 3 games in all club football. How is that not?
Is 1 goal in 3 games, 1 goal every 3 games in the current climate good enough to be a number 9 for a top team? If you're not, because I never really noticed his link-up play being amazing like Benzema is,
Or Giroud.
or like Giroud is. Yeah, he doesn't come across as that kind of player. So if
Did you see that goal that Juventus scored against Bayern in the Champions League a few seasons ago when he pretty much ran the entire length of the pitch and then put it on a plate for Quadrado? What's his name? Quadrado.
Quadrado, another Chelsea
Quadrado,
legend.
that's the one, yeah. And he finished at top corner. So he does have pretty decent link up play. 1 goal every 3 games. That's not horrendous. This is the thing, right? This is why.
That's like scoring 12 goals in a Premier League season.
Yeah, but this is why, right? This is why I actually don't know which side of this I fall down on. Because if I'm looking at just stats and the stick he gets for his, footballing ability in general, I'd look at his stats and I go, oh, hang on, I think he's a little bit underrated here. If you then compare that to the transfer fees and the clubs he's played for, you go, I think he's a little bit overrated. So I almost think they balance each other out, and I don't know.
No, I think that's the point. I think that's the point. Is that if he was scoring a goal every 3 games playing for Stoke, then fair enough. But he is playing for teams challenging for the league, when you should be, as a striker, be getting as many opportunities as possible. But you should be scoring more as a centre forward. You're there to score the goals, which is probably wasn't good enough at Chelsea. He didn't score enough goals, which is why we let him go at the end of the day. I think the other thing on the side of it, there's 2 angles to it. Why are all these teams buying him?
This is the other thing I was going to say.
There's a reason everybody's selling him.
But there's got to be a reason everyone's buying him. You can't, these massive clubs can't be willing to spend 50, 60 million a time on him if he's not very good. And for all of us football fans, like you just said, I don't think anyone thinks he's any good. Well, clearly the hierarchies of massive football clubs and managers do.
But then, so what was his record? If you got the stats there, so he looked good at the start for Chelsea, and we let him go because he didn't score enough goals.
Yeah, he scored 16 goals in 47 games for you.
Okay, bearing in mind he scored 5 in his first 5. So
okay.
Skews the stats. So that's 1 in 4. We sent him on loan to Atletico Madrid, and he didn't do a lot there from memory.
Overall, at Atletico, he has played 49 games and scored 18 goals, so pretty much identical to you.
Okay, so not great.
No.
And Juve, that's where I think he had his best season, wasn't it?
No, Juve, he actually had his worst. He played 63 games and scored 15 goals. And it's actually at Real Madrid the season before you bought him, because he went back to Real Madrid. He played 26 games and scored 15 goals.
So not great, really. You saying about his record? Yeah, that's okay. So that's 1 season. It's the Hulk thing again, isn't it?
Well, then, but then in his first, when he was coming through the ranks of Real Madrid, he played 37 games across like 3 seasons and scored 10 goals. Important goals as well. I think that's the thing with him. He does score important goals. So all of his goals for Spain have been competitive, qualifying, or actually in the Euros.
It's impressive.
Goals. Yeah.
Play for the big occasion then, maybe that's why they've got him.
Because again, in the Champions League, then he always scores I swear he scored the goal that knocked out Real Madrid one year, didn't he? And then in the semi-finals, he set up the goal against Bayern. I think Juventus went out in the end, didn't they? Because I think Thiago scored an absolute worldie of a goal. But Morata was brilliant in that game, and he was actually
did he score against Liverpool this year?
Yeah, he did.
When they knocked out, did he score at Anfield?
Yeah, he did. He scored at Anfield. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it is then. Maybe he's just not. He's the opposite to a flat track bully. Big game player, like a Didier Drogba. Like Didier Drogba's goal to game ratio isn't great, but he is a big game player.
Okay, then. So
maybe that's what it is then.
Morata, overrated or underrated? I fall down on the side of neither. I fall down on the perfectly on the fence
I'd say possibly underrated.
This is what I see, right? So I literally went in my head when it came up on my thing, and I saw it today, and it said Fabrizio Romano has, you confirmed this deal, or whatever. And I literally went, bloody hell, how the hell does he keep moving for this massive money? What an overrated player. And then I looked into it a bit more, and I went, I don't know now.
Maybe not. Yeah,
This is why I liked this one, because I can't even answer
crap
it.
at Chelsea, though. He wasn't very good with us at all.
No, he wasn't, but he did. I don't know if that was a system thing, because there was a couple of times that I watched Chelsea and I thought, God, he looks good. And I remember before he went to Chelsea, I actually thought Arsenal had agreed to deal with him.
You were close to sign for him.
I was really delighted. It's a tricky one, isn't it? But we've got to. I mean, it's our segment. I mean, to be fair, I'm meant to decide, so I don't know why I'm putting it on you. This is my turn to decide.
Yeah, it's on you.
And you decided with
what do you reckon then? It's a good one.
I really don't know. It's so hard. I think I actually am going to fall down just because of the amount of stick he gets. Maybe if I add that in as a caveat, I think his transfer values are too high. I think his stats aren't that great, but his timing of his stats, so when he scores those goals, makes him a big game player. And then also add into the fact that people treat him as if he's one of the worst strikers who's ever lived.
Yeah, they do.
I think he's got to come down on the side of underrated.
That's right. I can't start. I have to come back on that one. I have to come back.
In like 10 episodes time, you're just like, by the way,
yeah,
we're out.
I've actually been thinking about it now. Yeah, once he's scored 1 goal in 10 games for Juve next season.
Well, that is his kind of ratios.
Yeah. Scores 10 in 40. Yeah. He scores the winner every time.
Yeah, exactly. If he scores 1 goal in 38 games next season, but it is the goal that wins them the league on the final day,
it will be. It'll
be worth it. Right. Okay. So we've been recording for a little while. We might actually make this into a couple of episodes, but we'll see, because this will be quite a long episode, I'd imagine, just left on its own. But we'll see what we can cut it down to. Thanks very much for joining us, and Tom, thank you for powering through when you're not very well. We'll be back. For the podcast team. We will be back next week with another episode. Again, follow us on all the socials. I'll put in the clip now that was in last time where you can find us on everything. But basically, it's not hard. It's the Absolute Football Podcast. I think I said the Absolute Football Podcast that many times in the outro of the last podcast episode. You could make it a drinking game.
Never forget.
But yeah, come and find us. Like I said, if you have any questions, if you have any opinions, let us know, because we will talk about them in the podcast, as we've shown with Lewis. Lewis, get in touch with us and let us know what you thought of Tom's answer to your question. And yeah, thanks very much for listening if you have been, and tune in next time. Hi guys, it's Louis from the Absolute Football Podcast again. Just before you switch off, I just wanted to let you know what our socials are, so you can come and find us and get in touch. We're on Twitter as AbsFootPodcast. It's the only name we could get, so excuse that. But if you just type in the Absolute Football Podcast, we should come up as well. Also on the Facebook as the Absolute Football Podcast. Instagram is just Absolute Football Podcast, but again, if you type in the Absolute Football Podcast, you'll probably come and find us as well. And on YouTube as well, it's the Absolute Football Podcast. And if you want to email us, we're absolutefootballpod@gmail.com. So yeah, get in touch any way that you can. We'd love to hear from anyone who's listening. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. If you want us to discuss things, let us know. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're a football fan, potentially have you on the pod as well. Why not? That's all we are. 2 football fans having a chat about football. So if you're another one of those, get in touch. Let us know who you support. Maybe do a clip of you having a very passionate rant about something in football, and we'll try and get you on to dig a little deeper. All right, thanks very much, and tune in next week.